Explosions can be very destructive, but can they also be creative? I was led to think about this by a art installation by Cornelius Parker, who was born on this day in 1956. She built a shed out in a field and filled it with all sorts of bric-a-brac and stuff that she'd collected from car boot sales and so on. And then she contacted the army and asked them if they would blow it up. And to her surprise, they readily agreed, showed her the different kinds of explosives that could be used, and eventually did blow up the shed. And Cornelius Parker then went round and gathered all the bits and pieces that remained from the explosion and has hung them in this installation from the ceiling around a single light bulb, which then of course throws the shadows of the items hanging from the ceiling onto the wall behind. People have made all sorts of interpretations of this artwork, and of course she herself hasn't given a definitive explanation of what she was trying to do. But for some, it's an expression of the fragmentation of our world, the way everything seems to be disintegrating and hasn't got a wholeness about it. But it's also been seen as much more individual, expressing what happens when explosions occur in our lives, when big things happen which seem to change everything. And then the significance of the shed comes into play, because a shed is for many people a place of safety. That's where they go when they want some peace and quiet. They want to just be by themselves, a place where they can just be. And to have that blown apart is a way of shattering that illusion of safety. Or a shed is also the sort of place where you put things that are too sentimental to part with, but not sufficiently interesting or attractive to have around the house, or maybe there isn't room for them. They become a store place of memories. So to blow it up is, as it were, to blow those memories apart. But of course, if you do that interpretation, then of course the shadows on the wall that the items that she's hung from the ceiling make speak to us of the shadowy nature of many of our memories. Those things that we cling on to often don't have a real existence, and maybe it's good for us to recognize that they are just shadows, they are just memories. Because I think one of the things that the installation says for me is that although often terrible things happen in our lives, things which feel explosive, which seem to destroy so much of what we hold dear, so much of what's important to us, people that really matter to us, major things can happen which undermine our safety and our history and our sense of being able to move forward confidently. Explosive things happen in our lives. But I think what this installation is saying is that the grief that then follows can be eventually, and I think it takes a while, can eventually be replaced by the possibility of something new emerging. Because one of the things that happens when something explodes is that it destroys what's there and creates space for something new. And maybe one way we need to look, and I had to emphasize again that this is a later stage in the process of grieving over such loss as an explosion might bring, is to see that there's new space opening up as a result of whatever it was that happened in our lives that upset so much, and that we can use this new space for new creativity and for beginning again in one or other aspect of our lives.